The arrival of Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey has created enormous excitement among cinema lovers around the world. Known for transforming complex ideas into spectacular cinematic experiences, with films such as Inception, Interstellar, Dunkirk, and the Oscar-winning Oppenheimer, Nolan now turns his attention to one of the greatest stories ever written, Homer's ancient Greek epic. The film brings together an impressive cast, including Matt Damon as Odysseus, Anne Hathaway as Penelope, Tom Holland as Telemachus, Robert Pattinson, Zendaya, and Charlize Theron, attracting both fans of mythology and audiences simply curious to see how one of history's most famous journeys will be reimagined for the modern screen. Many people will go to the cinema because they love epic adventures, legendary heroes, and spectacular storytelling. Others may be attracted by the reputation of the director and the actors involved. Some may simply wonder why a story created almost 3,000 years ago is still considered one of the greatest masterpieces of human imagination. However, beyond the excitement of the film itself, audiences will discover that the Odyssey is much more than a tale of monsters, gods, and heroic battles. It is a deeply human story about facing difficulties, searching for identity, and finding the courage to continue when life becomes unpredictable. Traditionally attributed to Homer and written around the 8th century BC, the Odyssey tells the story of Odysseus, king of Ithaca, who attempts to return home after the Trojan War. His journey lasts 10 years and takes him through dangerous seas, mysterious islands, and encounters with extraordinary creatures. Yet the true importance of the epic is not only found in its adventures. Its lasting power comes from the emotions behind them. The desire to return home, the pain of separation, the struggle to overcome obstacles, and the hope of rebuilding life after hardship. This explains why audiences continue to be fascinated by Homer's masterpiece. Although modern people do not have to fight Cyclops or escape mythical monsters, they recognize the emotions behind Odysseus's experiences. Today's challenges may be different, but they are equally demanding. People face uncertainty about the future, career pressures, family responsibilities, personal disappointments, loneliness, and the constant pressure to succeed. The monsters of the modern world are often invisible. Fear, stress, insecurity, distraction, and the feeling of losing direction. Like Odysseus, people must learn how to adapt, make difficult choices, and find the drive to keep moving forward, even when the journey becomes complicated. Cinema has always been fascinated by Greek mythology because myths contain universal truths about human behavior. From ancient legends to modern superhero stories, audiences are attracted to characters who struggle, make mistakes, and eventually transform. The reason these stories survive is not simply because they contain gods and supernatural events, but because they explore emotions that everyone understands. Viewers do not watch the Odyssey only to discover what happens to Odysseus. They watch because they see parts of themselves reflected in his journey. Something deep resonates. Odysseus is a fascinating hero because he does not succeed through physical strength alone. His greatest qualities are intelligence, creativity, and adaptability. He is known as a man of many skills because he can find solutions when faced with impossible situations. However, he is also imperfect. His confidence sometimes becomes arrogance, and his curiosity occasionally places him in danger. His voyage is therefore not only a journey across the sea, but also a journey of personal growth. Through his struggles, he learns patience, humility, and the importance of understanding his own weaknesses. A true alpha. Every challenge Odysseus encounters represents a lesson that remains meaningful today. The lotus eaters symbolize the temptation to abandon goals and choose comfort instead of growth. The Cyclops represents a world where strength exists without intelligence or empathy, while Odysseus's own pride after defeating him shows how arrogance can create new problems. The Sirens represent attractive distractions that promise pleasure or knowledge, but can lead people away from their true purpose, thus falling into addictions. Scylla and Charybdis remind us that life often forces us to make difficult decisions where no option is perfect. The mythical characters Odysseus meets can also be understood through the idea of archetypes. Psychologist Carl Gustav Jung suggested that myths contain universal symbols representing different aspects of the human mind. Athena represents wisdom, guidance, and rational thinking, the inner voice that helps people make better decisions. Poseidon represents forces beyond human control, such as unexpected crises or emotional storms. Circe and Calypso symbolize temptation and the desire to remain in one's comfort zone rather than continue personal development. The Cyclops represents power without reflection, while the Sirens represent distractions that prevent people from following their true path. These archetypes explain why Greek mythology continues to feel relevant. The creatures may be imaginary, but the struggles they represent are real. However, the Odyssey is not only the story of Odysseus. Penelope's journey is equally powerful. While her husband faces physical dangers across the seas, she fights a quieter but equally difficult battle at home. She must protect her family, preserve her dignity, and resist the pressure of suitors who believe they have the right to control her future. Her famous strategy of weaving a funeral cloth by day and secretly undoing it at night demonstrates intelligence, patience, and determination. Penelope can be seen as one of the earliest examples of a strong female character in literature. Her strength does not come from physical power, but from wisdom, emotional resilience, and the ability to remain faithful to herself. She chooses her own path and stays true to it, regardless of society pressure. Her story still connects with modern audiences because many women today continue to balance personal ambitions, relationships, family responsibilities, and social expectations. When Odysseus finally returns, Penelope does not simply accept him immediately. She tests him, proving that their reunion is based on choice, trust, recognition, and mutual respect, rather than obligation. This new adaptation of the Odyssey offers audiences the opportunity to experience an ancient story through a contemporary perspective. Viewers can expect a powerful combination of adventure, mythology, and emotional depth. But above all, they can expect a story about human beings facing extraordinary challenges. Behind the gods, monsters, and legendary battles is a simple but universal message. Everyone has a journey to complete, obstacles to overcome, and a personal Ithaca to reach. That is why Homer's masterpiece continues to inspire us, and why thousands of years later, audiences are still eager to follow Odysseus home. Questions. Listen to the questions and record your answer on your device. Then listen to yourself speak in English. Don't like your answer? Not to worry. Simply delete and do it again until you're happy with your English. And remember, practice makes perfect. A. Content comprehension questions 1. Why does the Odyssey continue to attract the curiosity of modern audiences, even though it was written thousands of years ago? 2. What makes the Odyssey much more than a simple adventure story about heroes, gods, and monsters? 3. What is the central journey of Odysseus, and what is he trying to achieve? 4. Why is Odysseus's voyage considered both a physical journey and a personal transformation? 5. What modern challenges are compared to the obstacles faced by Odysseus in the epic? 6. Why has Greek mythology continued to inspire filmmakers and storytellers throughout history? 7. What qualities make Odysseus different from traditional heroes who rely mainly on physical strength? 8. What weaknesses or flaws does Odysseus have despite being considered a hero? 9. What lessons can be learnt from the encounters with the Lotus Eaters, the Cyclops, and the Sirens? 10. According to the concept of archetypes, what do the mythical characters in the Odyssey represent? 11. What human qualities or experiences are represented by Athena and Poseidon? 12. Why can the monsters and challenges in the Odyssey also be interpreted as symbols of internal human struggles? 13. Why is Penelope considered an important character and not simply the wife waiting for Odysseus's return? 14. How does Penelope demonstrate intelligence, independence, and emotional strength. 15. Why does Penelope decide to test Odysseus before accepting him back into her life? B. Inferred meaning questions. 1. Why do you think people today can recognise themselves in a story created almost 3,000 years ago? 2. What does Odysseus's journey suggest about the relationship between difficulties and personal growth? 3. Why might the mythical creatures in the Odyssey represent psychological challenges rather than only physical dangers? 4. What does Penelope's behaviour reveal about the importance of trust and equality in relationships? 5. Why can the Odyssey be considered a universal story about the human experience, rather than only the adventure of one Greek king?